Welcome to the AZ-900 Azure Fundamentals training, and in this video, we'll be doing Module 2, the benefits of using cloud services. Alright, let's get into it with Chapter 1, describe the benefits of high availability and scalability in the cloud. When building or deploying cloud applications, two of the biggest considerations are availability and scalability. So, what is high availability? Well, high availability really means uptime. When you think of availability, think of whenever you deploy an application, a service, or an IT resource, you need to be able to access that resource when you need it. High availability means that you will be able to access your resources despite any interruption or events that may occur. High availability is the maximum uptime that you can garner. When you think of high availability, you need to realize that these uptimes are dependent on the service that you are purchasing. The services all operate with a service level agreement. Now, I'm not going to go through every service level agreement, but here are some important concepts that you must understand when you're dealing with high availability. High availability or availability is measured in nines. This represents the percentage of time a system is available in a given year. So, if you go to purchase an Azure service and you see 99% SLA or 99% uptime, this means that this service is guaranteed to stay up for a certain amount of time in a year. So 99% availability means that you will only experience 3.65 days of downtime per year. Alright, so you call that 2 nines. 3 nines, 99.9% of availability, you will get around 8.7 hours of downtime in a year. 4 nines, 99.99, you get about 52.6 minutes a year. Now, when you actually get into the concept of high availability, you need to aim for 4 nines and above. That's when you're really gonna have high availability. So high availability means that you have high uptime and low downtime in a year. When you're dealing with 5 nines, that's 99.999%, you're dealing with around 5 minutes of downtime per year. Alright? Now, when it comes to scalability in the cloud, what is scalability? Well, Microsoft defines it as the ability to adjust resources to meet demand. In the cloud computing industry, you will hear the concept of elasticity. That is the same thing as scalability. Scalability simply is you are adjusting your resources, you're either increasing it or decreasing it to meet the needs of your business. So for instance, if your system is being overwhelmed with traffic, you're getting a lot of views, you're getting a lot of transactions on your system, then your resources can increase its capacity to meet those increased demands. Inversely, if you have a resource that the peak season, let's say sometime in December, you get a lot of traffic to your site. After the peak season has elapsed, let's say January or February, instead of paying for these high amount of resources that you have, scalability will also bring down or decrease the number of resources that you have. Because remember, the cloud is a consumption-based model. So you only pay for what you use. So if you're not using the number of resources that you have, then you can decrease the number of resources so that you can only pay for what you use. Scalability generally comes in two variables. You have vertical scaling and you have horizontal scaling. So let's look at vertical scaling and horizontal scaling. A vertical scaling is the ability to add more system resources to a specific resource. So in this case, let's look at a virtual machine. So a virtual machine is a resource, and you have system resources like CPU or RAM. Vertical scaling is taking this virtual machine and adding more RAM to it or adding more CPU to it. Now, as I mentioned before, scaling can go both up and down. So the same way you can add more RAM or add more CPU to a virtual machine, you can also remove or you can also reduce the number of RAM and CPU that you have on that particular virtual machine. So vertical scaling is you have a single resource and you are adding more system resources to that specific resource or the machine as well. That's vertical scaling. Horizontal scaling, on the other hand, let's say you have a sudden jump of demand or sudden jump of traffic. Your resource that you deployed might not be able to handle the influx of traffic that you have. So what you need to do is increase the number of resources. So in a case like this, you, instead of increasing the CPU or the RAM in one virtual machine, you will increase the number of virtual machines that you have. So if you have a web server, you will increase the number of web servers. If you have containers, you will increase the number of containers. So horizontal scaling is scaling out. So you're increasing the number of servers, you're increasing the number of containers, you're increasing the number of resources that you have, as opposed to vertical scaling, where you are increasing that system resource, so that specific system resource, particular or specific to whatever resource that you're deploying. Similarly, with horizontal scaling, you can increase the amount of resources that you have, or you can decrease the amount of resources that you have. Let's move on to chapter 2, which is to describe the benefits of reliability and predictability in the cloud. So what is reliability? Well, Microsoft defines it as the ability of a system to recover from failures and continue to function. So what does that mean? Well, let's compare it to a traditional on-premise or data center infrastructure. If you have servers, if you have storage, if you have your equipment on-premise in a physical building, and that building experiences a natural disaster, be it a hurricane, a fire, an earthquake, then your physical system or your physical infrastructure is no longer usable. Your system is down. You can no longer take advantage of whatever infrastructure or whatever system resources that you had. With the cloud, you don't have to worry about that physical infrastructure. The cloud takes care of the data centers and it takes care of ensuring that your resource, whatever your resource is accessible whenever you need it. So in Azure, for instance, if there is a catastrophic event in one region, then your services can operate from another region, or your application can operate from another region. So it is reliable in the sense that there is no action on your part, and whatever resources that you purchase from Azure will be transitioned or replicated to another area to ensure that you can access it when you need it. So that is reliability. When we're talking about predictability, we're really talking about the performance and cost predictability of your cloud resources. If we take a look at performance predictability and cost predictability more closely, we will see that in performance predictability, you can predict the resources that you need to deliver a positive experience for your customers. With cost predictability, you can predict or forecast the cost of your cloud spend. When we look at performance predictability, there are several concepts that is utilized to ensure reliable performance. Concepts like auto-scaling, concepts like load balancing, where you are balancing the traffic from end users to your various servers, and high availability. Similarly, for cost predictability, there are several concepts and tools that can be utilized to ensure that your cost is predictable. You have Azure Monitor, where you can monitor the costing for your particular resource or service. There's a total cost of ownership calculator. That's a calculator that you can use, and you can calculate what is the total cost of ownership for that particular resource or service. There is a pricing calculator where you can calculate the pricing for the resource that you're purchasing, be it for a year, be it for 2 years, or for how long that you want that resource for. And you can also tweak the calculator so that you can add certain resources, like for instance RAM or CPU, and you can actually see the cost of that in a real time. So that is the benefits of reliability and predictability in the cloud. Moving on to chapter 3, describe the benefits of cloud security and governance in the cloud. So what really is security and governance? Well, when you're thinking of security and governance, think of measures designed to protect cloud-based resources. Okay, so there are several measures when it comes to cloud computing that you can utilize to protect your cloud-based resources. And in Azure in particular, there are several benefits for utilizing these Azure resources or these Azure services to protect your cloud-based resource. Let's look at a few of the benefits. A centralized security management. In Azure, you can deploy Microsoft Defender. There's Microsoft Defender for Cloud, for Internet of Things, Microsoft Defender for Office 365, for endpoints, and for EASM, which is the external attack surface management. So with these services, you can manage your entire cloud infrastructure from one central place. That's one of the benefits. You also have advanced threat protection. With Azure, you can have the capability to identify any unusual activity that is happening in your infrastructure. If there is any behavior that is not in line with your system, there's also several compliance and regulatory frameworks that Azure abides by. So you're talking about HIPAA compliance, you're talking about GDPR, you're talking about various ISO compliances. There are frameworks in place that you can adopt in your Azure infrastructure to ensure that your compliance posture is effective. There are also several data protection and disaster recovery benefits as well. There are several backup services that you can use within Azure, so you can ensure that your data is backed up securely and can be restored in case of an outage or a disaster. There's identity and access management. In Azure, you have Entra ID, where you can manage users' access, you can manage security permissions, you can manage conditional access, you can manage groups and users, you can also manage external users. There are several features that belong to its identity and management service in the form of Entra ID, previously called Azure AD. And there is also several benefits when it comes to governance and policy enforcement. For instance, there is Azure Policy, where you can define in a granular manner what certain limitations or restrictions that policies and different infrastructures have. So you can deploy Azure policies that says that you cannot create a resource with X amount of CPU, or you cannot create a resource that has X amount of RAM or storage, etc. So there are several policies that you can enforce to ensure that your infrastructure is secure. All right, let's go to chapter 4, which is to describe the benefits of manageability in the cloud. So what is manageability in the cloud? You're really talking about various options used to manage cloud resources. So when you're talking about managing cloud resources, you're really talking about management of the cloud and management in the cloud. Let's take a look at that. When you're thinking of management of the cloud, you're talking about being able to automatically scale resource deployments. One of the benefits of doing that is that you can automatically scale these resources. Or another benefit is that you can deploy resources based on a pre-configured template. So you don't have to manually configure every single resource. You can define templates with code, and you call that infrastructure as code, and you can deploy it in your cloud environment. You can monitor the health of your resources and automatically replace failing resources as one of the benefits. And you can also receive automatic alerts based on your configured matrix, so you're aware of your performance in real time. So that's what it means by management of the cloud. You are managing your cloud resources. When you refer to management in the cloud, you're really talking about how you're able to manage your cloud resources. So you can use the web portal, the GUI interface. You can use command line to manage your cloud resources. You can use various APIs to manage your cloud resources. And you can use PowerShell to manage your cloud resources. To summarize this module, let's look at each chapter in turn. In chapter 1, we looked at describing the benefits of high availability and scalability in the cloud, and we said that that is the guaranteed uptime of a service measured in nines, the ability to adjust resources on demand, and we looked at the vertical and horizontal scaling. In chapter 2, we looked at the benefits of reliability and predictability in the cloud, and we said that that's the ability of a system to recover from failures and continue to function. And we said that we can predict the performance and cost of cloud resources using various tools. In chapter 3, to describe the benefits of security and governance in the cloud, we looked at the measures designed to protect cloud-based resources. And there are several measures. There's the central security management, advanced threat protection, compliance and regulatory frameworks, and we looked at each of these in turn. Finally, to describe the benefits of manageability in the cloud, we said that there are options used to manage cloud resources. There's the management of the cloud, where you can deploy, scale, and monitor resources in real time. And there's management in the cloud, where you can utilize web portals, the command line, APIs, and PowerShell to manage your cloud resources. So that's it. Thank you for watching this module 2 in the Azure Fundamentals training. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next video.